those that have passed and pay our respects to the victims senselessly lost by these crimes. Once again, welcome to the 13 days of Halloween, and let's jump into the video. Hi you guys, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the 13 days of Halloween. This is our first video of that series, and let me tell you what, I am excited for this. There was a lot of work that went into it, but I love you guys so much and love doing this, so I hope that you enjoy it. As a quick disclaimer, please know that true crime videos can be graphic in nature, and if that is concerning to you, or if at any point in the video you feel uncomfortable, please know that your mental health is the most important thing, and if exiting the video is what's best for you, please by all means do so. Okay? So we got that out of the way, and oh my gosh, I had such a hard time deciding what case to cover for the first video, and I settled on a case that took place in a town literally 20 minutes from where I grew up, so it just felt fitting for some reason. So let's just go ahead and dive into this case together. And I'm gonna call this one Nightmare in Napa, California. Nestled in the heart of California's idyllic wine country, the city of Napa is nothing if not a safe place to live. It is a highly sought after destination in the United States, with luxurious resorts tucked away, regularly catering to celebrities and the affluent, with on average 3 million people visiting every year. But no town is perfect, and anything can happen anywhere at any time. October 31st of 2004 would be the Halloween night that this town would never forget. Roommates Adrian Isonia, who was 26 years old, Leslie Mazzara, who was also 26 years old, and Lauren Mianza, who was 27 years old, spent their Halloween night handing out candy to trick-or-treaters on Dorset Street in Napa Valley for a low-key celebration of the spooky holiday. Their home was not far from the downtown area, which to many would feel like the perfect place to live. Downtown Napa and the surrounding area is quite quaint, charming, and quiet. I have personally been there quite a few times, and it really is a very cute place to be. Now, the girls would decide to call it a night after handing out candy and the trick-or-treaters had died down. It was not long after 11 o'clock at night when the 3 women would head for bed. As they called it a night, I can only guess that they imagined they were leaving behind the spooky stories and horror films of the season until the next year. However, tragically, fate would rear with her boyfriend and to be closer to her mother. She worked at a winery called Napa in Rutherford, which is an even smaller town than Napa, and it produces a very specific kind of grape for wine and also has quite the reputation. Leslie was described by friends and family as having a bubbly personality, somebody who could elevate the mood of everybody around her. She was very much loved by the people in her life, and people described her as both beautiful inside and out. Leslie's mother, Kathy, had said that when she was a little girl, she would always say that she wanted to be a mother, a teacher, a nurse, and Miss America before she was 21 years old, which I thought was just a very sweet and cute quote that could speak to who she was. Adrienne Isonia was a fiercely competitive woman who actually was no stranger to close calls with death. At 16 years old in 1994, she had nearly died in a car accident. This car accident left her with physical obstacles that she needed to overcome, like short-term memory loss and difficulty reading. Her driven nature eventually landed her a college scholarship to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, which is a really good school. She ultimately became a civil engineer and was hired by the Napa Sanitation District after graduation. During the summer of 2004, Leslie moved in with Adrienne and Lauren. Lauren was an all-star athlete with a political science degree who rented the house on Dorset Street. Adrienne and Lauren needed a third roommate to split the cost of rent, and upon meeting Leslie, they felt as though she would be a good addition to their home. This proved to be true, and the women became good friends and roommates. Come Halloween night, though, their world would flip upside down. After they had gone to bed and all was quiet, outside a man watched the house on Dorset Street. He waited outside, smoking cigarette after cigarette and dropping the butts in the yard, waiting for the perfect opportunity to make his next move. Sometime between 1:30 and 2 a.m., the security light tripped on behind the garage, which was visible from Lauren's downstairs bedroom. Her dog, Chloe, gave what you would consider like a warning bark, but Lauren had dismissed the security light going on as like maybe one of Adrienne's cats tripping the light. Lauren quieted Chloe and began drifting back to sleep when, within a few minutes, she heard someone entering the house and going up the stairs. Now, she wasn't actually immediately alarmed because Leslie's boyfriend had just stayed the night a few days prior, and so she thought perhaps it was her boyfriend coming in to stay the night again. So again, Lauren drifted off to sleep until she was woken listening until this intruder came just rushing down the stairs. Lauren would report that he was just flying down the stairs, breaking things as he came around. And in a response to this, she panicked and ran away. But she ran the wrong way, out the back door, surrounded by a 6-foot fence and no way to get out. So Lauren would just hide in the backyard and was able to hear that the intruder was struggling with the kitchen blinds in the front of the house. And then it got quiet, and all she could hear was Adrian's pleas for help. Without knowing if the intruder had left, Lauren went back into the house to tend to her roommate. She tried to call 911, but the landline in the kitchen had been cut, so she couldn't make the outbound call. Nevertheless, she tiptoed up the stairs to Adrian's room and was met with a ghoulish sight. The entire bedroom was covered in blood. Lauren found Leslie face down in a pile of clothes, with stab wounds all over her upper body and arms. A few feet away, Adrian was crouched behind her bed, alive but no longer able to speak and rapidly bleeding out due to these stab wounds. Lauren went back downstairs to get her cell phone so she could call 911. And on her way out of the room and down the stairs, she found herself slipping in the blood of her roommates. She told the 911 dispatcher some information until that line went dead too. I am not sure why this phone call disconnected, but reports say that it did. And when all of this was happening, she realized that the intruder could still be nearby and dashed to her car and called 911 again while driving away. Once getting connected to a 911 operator, she would share the details again and tell them that she saw a male suspect fleeing from her home, but could not give a real description because of how dark it was those early hours of the morning, and the only time she actually saw him was when he was dashing down the stairs, so she did not have a lot of time to see him. Police were immediately dispatched to the home, and upon their arrival, both Leslie and Adrian had succumbed to their injuries. This horrific double murder was a stunning blow to the heart of the Napa community. Nobody saw it coming, and nobody had really seen anything like this in this picturesque town. Police and forensic investigators immediately reacted by scouring the crime scene, collecting 266 items of potential evidence from microscopic fibers to cigarette butts. They came across a single drop of blood outside of the kitchen window, which is how they think the attacker entered the home, from this blood determined that the DNA belonged to a white male with light hair, blue or green eyes, of North European descent. Over the next 11 months, detectives would interview over 1,300 people and collect 218 DNA samples, absolutely determined to solve this crime. However, none of the samples were a match to the drop of blood found at the crime scene. Detective Schulman, working on the case, reported on the fact that there were so many cigarette butts smoked down to the filter, saying, quote, "It could be someone who is nervous, trying to work up the courage to go inside and do this. Or it could be someone who is very deliberate, who is thinking through his thoughts and through his plans that he has already made in his mind of what he is going to do when he gets in the house." End quote. Napa detective Dan Lonergan would say that the killer most likely entered Leslie's bedroom first, possibly attacking her in her sleep. Once Adrian woke up and heard what was going on, the killer had moved onto her. And according to police reports, Adrian put up a vicious fight and managed to injure the killer in the process, which is how that drop of blood was found. During that period of time, Lauren had racked her brain for clues or any memory that would stand out to her. She was forced to question if she knew the serial killer, if she knew the killer, and if the killer had intended to kill her too. She immediately became suspicious of almost everyone in her life, feeling like she didn't know who she could trust. Because the killer seemed to know where he was going and who he was after, investigators concluded that this was not a random attack. Police released very little information, but it didn't matter. The guessing game had begun. Rumors circulated within Napa, many people suspecting that Leslie had been the target while Adrian had come to her rescue and was just collateral damage. Since Leslie was new to town, she had been on quite a few dates, many of which were set up as blind dates by new friends, which meant there were a handful of men that could be the suspect. They also looked into Adrian's on and off again boyfriend, Christian. Adrian would come to work crying from time to time over him because she wanted a committed relationship, but he did not. However, the men in Leslie and Adrian's life would be thoroughly investigated and ruled out. There was a point in the investigation that started to offer a glimmer of hope. The forensics team was able to extract DNA from the cigarette butts found in the yard, which was a So naturally, she began thinking and questioning if she knew any smokers in her life, and one person popped into her head. A man by the name of Eric Koppel, who had been to her home before at a small housewarming get-together that she and Adrian had hosted when they had first moved into their house. They had met Eric through Adrian's friend Lily, who was at the party, and Eric and Lily were dating at the time, but would eventually get married. Lauren recalled Eric was incredibly quiet and shy, describing him as not very social at all, but felt like nonetheless he was a nice guy, like nothing was alarming about him. She just chalked it up to social anxiety. Lauren, though, would provide this information to the homicide detectives. They quickly realized that Eric was not on the list of people that they had previously collected DNA from. So the police would immediately set their sights on Eric, but a month would go by and they had not had any luck at getting a hold of him or tracking him down. During this time, police were still trying to move forward with the investigation and see if they could find anything else related to or even unrelated to Eric at this point. So they released to the public that the killer smoked Camel Turkish Gold cigarettes in the hopes that this may bring forth some more leads. A few days after the police released this detail, on September 27th of 2005, Eric turned himself in after consulting with his family. Once the cigarette detail had been released to the public, Eric had written suicide notes and put them in his parents' mailbox. However, he never saw that deed through. Instead, when Eric's parents realized what he had done, they convinced him to go to the police to turn himself in. According to reports, his parents and Lily would be present with him at the police station when he turned himself in. Eric's appearance also matched the physical specs that the test had indicated, so that part of the investigation process was a success. However, Eric would not give any real motive behind his actions and could not reveal to the police what he had done with the murder weapon. He would tell the police that he only had minimal memory of that night, and it was pretty foggy with only bits and pieces coming through, and he had no idea what he had done with the knife. Now, interestingly, so at this point in 2005, Eric had already married Adrian's friend Lily. They had been married earlier that year, sometime in the spring of 2005. They had originally had a wedding date set for November 1st of 2004, which was supposed to be a destination wedding in Hawaii. And this is honestly creepy and eerie to me because November 1st, the day of their wedding, or what should have been their wedding, is the same day that Leslie and Adrian were murdered. Lily had decided to push out their wedding because there had been some tension and struggles in her relationship with Eric. And so with the wedding off, Lily and Adrian had become a lot closer. They were spending more time together. They even had a girls' trip planned to go to Australia together. Adrian's mother lived in Australia, and she also had this dream of climbing Sydney's Harbour Bridge since she was so fascinated by the structural engineering. Now, although Eric didn't exactly say so, some sources told investigators that he suspected Lily's friendship with Adrian had contributed to their broken engagement. The women had met working at the Napa sanitation district and really had become close, but there is nothing to really support the fact that Adrian had anything to do with it. No official motive has ever been released for the murders, with Eric himself unable to justify or explain his actions. As mentioned earlier, he told police during interviews that he could barely remember what happened. However, the most likely theory believed by authorities is that Eric felt threatened by Lily's close friendship with Adrian, and that perhaps he feared Lily's spending time with Adrian would further interfere with his relationship with her. Now, Eric, for all the time that he had visited Adrian's house, had never met Leslie, and why he killed her is unclear. Was her bedroom the first one he entered, confusing her for Adrian? Was his intention to kill everyone in the house, knowing that 3 women in total lived there? Nobody knows. Now, 2 weeks after the murders, Lily had organized a candlelight vigil for her friends, which Eric attended. Then, in February of 2005, Lily and Eric's wedding was back on. Random, right? Now that Adrian was out of the picture for him, things somehow, their relationship got better and the wedding was back on. But what blows my mind and makes me sad is that Lily asks Arlene Allen, who is Adrian's mother, to read a passage from the Bible during her and Eric's upcoming wedding ceremony. Arlene was interviewed and she said, quote, "I looked directly into both of their eyes and read, 'Love is stronger than death, and passion fierce as the grave,' which I know she picked in honor of Adrian," end quote. But of course, nobody knew that Eric was the killer at this point. Now, at Eric's sentencing hearing on January 12th of 2007, he would describe himself as a broken man and claimed that he used alcohol to numb his pain. Now, he did appear to be a rare defendant that actually regretted his actions, not just getting caught. He showed remorse at his sentencing and was quoted saying, "I cannot fathom an explanation for my sinful deeds. The terrible agony inflicted upon a great number of people. My relationship with Lily was in jeopardy and crashing. It was all like it fertilized in the seed of anger in my heart. There was rage inside of me. If I had only listened to those who pleaded with me to get the help I needed." End quote. At the very same hearing, Arlene, Adrian's mother, said, quote, "My baby never wore a turtleneck sweater in her life, and yet she had to be buried in one, and still it could not hide the extent of her wounds." Arlene would also say directly to Eric at his sentencing, quote, "Eric, you knew Adrian. You know me, and Eric, I know you. You are a man who violently stabbed to death the best friend of the woman you loved. This is not love, Eric. You cannot love Lily and bring a knife into Adrian's home and stab her again and again and again and again and again and yet again." End quote. Which is heavy and so powerful of her to say, in my opinion. Now, Leslie's mother, Kathy Harrington, also spoke to Eric at this hearing and said, quote, "For the rest of your life, you and your family will experience what both your victims and loved ones have felt. Terror, desperation, hopelessness, and violence. I wish I could tell you that I forgive you. At this time, I cannot. And finally, I pray that never again will any mother's child grow up to be a murderer." End quote. Lily would also speak at his sentencing, and there were kind of different reports of exactly what she said. But interestingly enough, what I have gathered is that although she condoned what happened, thank goodness, she said that she still loved him and like there was nothing he could do to make her love him less, which all I'm gonna say is that if that were my partner or my husband or spouse, that would make me love you less. Like, I don't know how you don't, but again, that's just my opinion. It's also interesting that they were able to go for quite some time and Lily had no idea that he was the murderer. That is absolutely no judgment on Lily. I understand why that can happen and how people can be manipulators and live like nothing was happening. You know, like if he already had struggled with depression and alcohol abuse, I bet he was able to, mask that pretty well, and she probably thought he was just naturally still in his depressive state. Because Lily said never in a million years did she think that her husband murdered her friend. Now, Eric's defense team would ultimately work out a plea deal, reportedly to spare the family from a trial. Eric pled guilty to victims' families. Eric's attorneys and the prosecution agreed to this and agreed that he would spend the rest of his life in prison with no possibility for parole in exchange for the death penalty being taken off the table. He also waived his right to appeal and his right to talk about the case to anyone except for members of the clergy, meaning that media interviews are forever off the table and not allowed. And because of that, we may never get to hear just what his motive was, should he ever realize he had one. As you can only imagine, Lauren continues to struggle with survival's guilt to this day, but does have a very strong support system in place, which is really good for her, and she deserves that. That concludes our very first case for the 13 Days of Halloween, the Nightmare in Napa. Please let me know your thoughts on this case, and I am still going to list 3 cases that I would like for you to